Today's main event is an open discussion with leading experts from the field of psychology who have many years of experience in both academia and practice. They will be diving into the subject of relationships, and more specifically about when relationships end and how these breakups can affect us. After that, we will be launching the Sunway University Press book titled Mending Hearts, Healing from Separation and Loss, a collection of true stories, co-edited by Mr. Meng Zhen and Dr. Grace Yap, two of our panelists here with us today. But first, to kick things off, it is my great pleasure to call upon Professor Graham Wilkinson, Vice Chancellor of Sunway University, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Professor Wilkinson?
Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, or perhaps good morning or evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'd like to welcome you all to this online event hosted by Sunway University Press, which continues a special series this month entitled What's Up with Psychology? Conversations about Emotions, Relationships, and Growing Up. So today we're going to be talking about breakups and loss, or more specifically, mending hearts, healing from separation and loss, which is the title of a book comprising an edited collection of true stories, which is now published by Sunway University Press, and which we are also launching here today. So we're very fortunate to have the editors of that book, plus two other distinguished psychology experts, to discuss the topic of mending hearts this afternoon. I'm sure this topic will interest us all. There really cannot be many people on the planet who have not experienced a breakup of a relationship or the loss of someone very close to them at some point in their lifetimes. I believe we have, again this week, a large audience comprising psychologists, academics, students, health professionals, and of course, members of the public. So whoever you are, whatever you do, you're very welcome here with us online today in this second event in our psychology series. So our event today is focused on a panel discussion, following which we shall officially launch the book. For the discussion, I'm particularly delighted to welcome the editors of the book, Dr. Grace Yap, who is a psychology lecturer here in Sunway University, together with Meng Zhen, who was formerly at Sunway University and chair of our breakup exhibitions, but I believe now lives in Tokyo, where he does research on relationships. And joining them, we have Dr. Butler, who's a leading clinical psychologist and academic director of the Doctorate in Clinical Psychology program at the University of Exeter in the UK. And then also with them, we have Azah Yazmin, who is a registered and licensed counsellor who specializes in relationship counseling, including for couples on the brink of divorce. I'm also, of course, delighted to welcome our panel moderator, Professor Alvin Ung, a clinical psychologist and an associate dean here in Sunway University. He was a founding president of the Malaysian Society of Clinical Psychology and appears regularly in the media. So with this impressive lineup of speakers, I'm sure we're all eager to get into the discussion, then on to the book launch. Before commencing, let me thank Carol Wong and her team at Sunway University Press, including, of course, our MC, Nicholas, today. They've done an excellent job in bringing this book to fruition, as well as in organizing today's event. I know that a lot of work's gone on behind the scenes, so I'm very grateful for all of that. So without further ado, let's move on to the forum with the editors and the other expert panelists. So thank you all for joining today, and please do enjoy this event. So at this point, I'd like to hand back to our MC and then on to our distinguished moderator, Professor Alvin Ung. Thank you for joining, everyone, and do have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the introductions and warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to today's event, let's first have a quick photo session with everyone to commemorate this special day. If I can have your cooperation, please turn on your cameras and webcams, whichever you have. And we'll have a great big photo session with everyone. I see some familiar faces from our previous session. Hello, good to see you all again. Thank you for coming back. I hope you find today's session as great as the previous one. Let's just give everyone a few more seconds here to turn on your cameras and to get ready. And in the meantime, the rest of you can practice your smiles and poses. Okay, I think that should be long enough. I see quite a lot of webcam screens on my monitor here. If you can get ready and smile as we count down from 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you everyone for your participation and patience. Now, before I formally introduce our panelists for today's main event, please feel free to type any questions you have for them in the chat box at any time, and we'll be sure to address them during the Q&A session after. Now, without further ado, let's meet today's panelists. First up, we have relationship counseling specialist and co-founder of the Malaysian Marriage and Family Therapy Association, Ms. Azah Yazmin. And next, we have clinical psychologist and systemic psychotherapist. And she is also the academic director for the University of Exeter's Doctorate in Clinical Psychology, Dr. Catherine Butler. And next up, we have a former lecturer of psychology at Zhen University. He is also co-editor of the book Mending, Mr. Zhen. And last but certainly not least, we have lecturer and researcher of psychology at Zhen University and fellow co-editor of Mending, Dr. Grace Yap. And moderating today's forum is Professor Alvin Ng, Associate Dean International of the School of Medical and Life Sciences, Zhen University. And he is also founding president of the Malaysian Society of Clinical Psychology. Professor Alvin, very good to have you back with us again. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, and good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This day and age, when it comes to any kind of online event, it's cross time, isn't it? It's like time traveling at the same time. Okay, we'll probably have a forum about time the next time. We'll see how. Anyway, today we'll be talking about heartbreaks, as what our Vice Chancellor just mentioned just now. You know, it's so common. We would all have gone through some kind of heartbreaks in our lives, in whatever position we are. I mean, most of the time when we talk about heartbreaks, usually connected to romantic relationships, maybe friendships, rejection, something that in academia we get quite a lot of, especially those who are trying to publish. Tons of rejection. Yeah, revise and resubmit. Heartbreak. This article is not, useful. Right, but anyway, so today we'll be talking about how we can address and deal with those heartbreaks, which is why we have got our title as Mending Hearts, and we have got experts here to tell you about what we can do to splice pieces of hearts back together again until they break again, and then what we can do with them. But before going into our discussions, we have a video to play for you to have a look. So video, please.
How long does it take to get over a breakup? The good news is that I've done the research for you. The bad news is that you might not like the answer. See, a few years back, a number of publications were touting a study, telling their readers that it takes 11 weeks to get over a breakup. That's nearly 3 months spent listening to depressing music while putting on a brave face. It might feel longer than it is, but it's only a few swipes on a calendar app. No big deal, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not so straightforward. See, those articles drastically misrepresented that study. In fact, the study never said anything about how long it takes to get over a breakup. It only focused on the after effects of ending a relationship, specifically among undergrads, which is a whole other can of worms. To really answer that question of how long it takes to get over a breakup, you would need to do a longitudinal study, a study that would basically follow a ton of people from the moment of their breakup and track their progress year after year after year. But studies like that are expensive and complicated to carry out. So with no adequate data, I decided to seek professional help. I went to couples therapist, Dr. Hodtemir. He has anecdotal experience with countless people in relationships, and full disclosure, he was my couples therapist too. So I asked him how long he thinks it takes to get over a breakup.
I don't think there is a magic number. If we feel like we can express ourselves and how we're feeling, we don't have to keep it bottled up. Once you're doing other things that you're engaged with and distracted by, then at some point you look back and you're like, oh, yeah, that's my ex, or we broke up, and you notice that the feelings that you have are not as raw. You can bump into each other and not feel pain.
And the data supports Dr. Tamir's theory. One study looked at different strategies for love regulation. In other words, can a few simple methods change how much you love someone? The study found that when participants were distracted into thinking about something other than their ex, like say their favourite hobby or ideal career, their love feelings for their ex stayed the same, but it did make them feel more pleasant. Using distractions to start to feel better is exactly what Dr. Tamir has suggested. The study also found that a negative reappraisal strategy, essentially remembering all of the shit things your ex said and did, does decrease love feelings for your ex, but it also makes you feel, quote, unpleasant. And I'm guessing that means sad. Finally, a third, more Zhen strategy known as reappraisal of love feelings. For this, participants had to muse over statements like, love is part of life, and it's okay to love someone I'm no longer with. Yeah, that changed nothing at all for them. Overall, the researchers concluded, and I'm not using the scientific language here, that concentrating on the bad things about your ex can help you to feel less in love, while distracting yourself with other subjects, as my therapist suggested, can actually make you feel better. However, the research and Dr. Tamir would both tell you that while distraction is good in the short term, it is not a long-term solution.
Taking that time to process it and understand it is actually a much quicker way to heal than ignoring it.
Eventually, for the sake of ourselves and our future partners, we're going to have to face up to our feelings. So how long does it take to get over a breakup? Well, we don't have enough long-term studies to know. But more importantly, I've learned that instead of counting down the days, we're much better off reconnecting with the things we love to do, finding something to distract us and unpacking our feelings when we're ready. If we can do all that, then one day, hopefully we'll come out of it feeling okay. And in the end, isn't that what we're really after?
All right, well, there you go. We now know that 11 weeks is just a number that may not really work for everyone. We'll go to our first panelist, Dr. Catherine Butler, putting you on the spot now. What do you think about that video? And based on your practice as a clinical psychologist, as well as a researcher and an instructor in clinical psychology, what are some of the practices and perhaps research evidence that you have that might suggest otherwise or support what we just heard just now?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a really great video. I think it's a really good introduction to some of the things to do and how it can feel. And it talks about how useful it is to distract oneself, whether by thought, so whether it's thinking about the things that went wrong or thinking about things that make you feel better. And I was thinking, particularly in that raw stage that was talked about, it's the thoughts can be quite hard to get hold of, and actually sometimes the doing is really helpful. So that reconnecting, seeing people, because we often, when we're in that raw stage, want to just shut down. Sometimes we lose our appetite. So actually making ourselves eat healthy food, making ourselves go out and see people who make us feel good. Kind of, we don't feel like putting on a brave face sometimes, but sometimes the doing of it can help to make us start to feel it as well. And then maybe the thoughts and the thinking and the processing kind of kicks in after that initial raw stage kind of is done. And also in the video, it talked about reconnecting to some of the things we like doing. And we know that when people break up, often they feel like they've lost a part of themselves, they've kind of lost sight of who they are. And so revisiting, who am I, what are the things I really enjoy, maybe taking up new hobbies as well. That's a great distraction. I know I did that after a relationship. I ran a marathon, which I'd never done before. It was quite a difficult relationship, so I needed something really consuming, and I could plot my progress. And in terms of rebuilding your self-esteem and reconnecting things that really matter to you, is a really useful way to kind of mend yourself. And it does take time. I really like the message that there isn't a magic number. it really does take time, and it is about waiting and being kind to yourself. And sometimes you feel you're okay, and then months later there'll be an unexpected reminder, and that pain can come back and be quite a surprise. And again, it's being kind to yourself and just letting yourself feel it. And at that point, you'll have those strategies in place around you, that you know the things that can help to get you through that patch, but not judging yourself harshly for that.
Thank you, Catherine. Azah, as the video was playing, I saw you nodding away, like yes, yes, you know, that's
Yes.
those are like really good points. Yeah, what do you think? I mean, what would be some of the methods or strategies that you would use in your work as a couple counselor whenever there's any kind of breakups or separation?
Wow. Well, first of all, I went through a breakup with my client this week, so I'm very raw as a therapist because we go through it. We go through the breakup with them as well. One of the things that I do in therapy and in sessions is to help them process what went wrong, what you did, and process. There's a lot of guilt, a lot of blame, a lot of pointing fingers at each other, and just helping them process why they're breaking up and coming to a mutual place, or not, or agreeing not to be in a mutual place, helps them just to process once they are outside of the therapy session. So processing information, the whole history, the emotion. Sometimes people don't have an emotional narrative to express themselves, and I find that very, very, very important in breaking up when you are in the same room together. If you're not in the same room together, you don't have a therapist with you, you might go to your friends, and your friends will be biased and one-sided. Yeah, he's this, and yes, he's that, and or she's this and she's that. And so while friends are brilliant, they are very good support system, there's also you re-trigger yourself sometimes in a situation where it's really hard for you to come out of it. So I like what the video said, and what Catherine also said, that there's more to life than that little breakup. That it is painful, yes, we accept to and take responsibility, but there is life after that. And when you're ready, let's see what life has to offer you. And there's so much stuff out there, and you never know, once you've really healed from it and you've gone out the other side and you know who you are. I had a divorce. I mean, this is my second marriage. And from that divorce, I thought, I know who I am now. I know what kind of man I want now, or my partner that I want now. Before I didn't. So what was the learning experience that you had? And then the next partner will be, waiting for you. I don't know. May take time.
Yeah, I like the point where you're talking about going beyond. It's something that we all go through. We go through different kinds of breakups every now and then, and we are here today. We have survived. We are still surviving, and yes, it may be painful, but somehow, this whole forum is about. To me, it's about normalizing breakups. Something that we go through, and it's something that we can learn as possible to know what to do the next time they come to you and say, I just broke up. And something that we hear quite a bit also among our students at university. I'm looking at Dr. Grace Yap now, just wondering whether you've got any experience of our, younger adults in university going through breakups and some of the issues. I know I'm putting you on a spot here, but yeah, well, it happens in forums. What do you think, Grace?
Yeah, definitely. As emerging adult, that's a time where we start romantic relationship, and but while we are still being a more mature, while we are working on our own growth, so does the other party. So we may not be very well in handling every aspect of our life, including a romantic relationship. So it is pretty normal to see breakups experience happen among emerging adults, among my students. And speaking of how much pain of a breakup, right? First of all, breakup is painful. no one is asking for it, no one will enjoy it. But yeah, we have several factors. Very first one is whether about we are a dumper or we are the dumpy. Okay, dumpy usually will experience much more pain. So that's for one. Another one is do we see the signals? Do we see it coming? So if we are mentally prepared, you know, yeah. So when it becomes when the actual day or actual time came, we are more prepared. We are more mentally prepared. But if it is the breakup happened like all of a sudden, okay, for example, the other party has already initiated a breakup and then disappeared in the thin air. After so long, then the dumpy just began to realize, hey, I got ditched. All right, that is very, very painful. Yeah, but it's very common to have breakup incidences when we are younger.
Yeah, it's that whole you know, growing up thing, right? You become an adult, you're supposed to form relationships, and so rejection can be quite a common thing. I once had a student come to me saying that he broke up and he was very sad, and I asked him, how long have you known the girl? I said, well, I haven't really known, I just asked her to be my girlfriend and she said no. So even the whole concept of a breakup may be misunderstood. I said, no, that wasn't a breakup, that was a rejection. How do you feel about it now? It's not so bad, and it's only a rejection. But anyway, coming back to like rejection, being human, I suppose, is we want to be wanted. Not dead or alive, of course, but you know, like kind of being accepted by people is a very important thing. And we have Meng here, who's currently doing his PhD on relationships, right, Meng?
Like I'm doing PhD in clinical sociology. On romantic relationship, yeah. But I started at the very beginning of this research.
Yeah, just curious about, you know, what made you go into this whole topic of romantic relationships.
Okay.
I know I'm a bit going off, but you know, it is about, you know, mending hearts, you know, having hearts, breaking hearts, mending hearts, and then breaking it again, and then mending again, and it's something that you are investigating.
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for your time and being here today. Okay, so for the past 10 years, I work as a lecturer, psychology lecturer. So just now when Azah say, the time when people go through a breakup, they go to friends, but sometimes they also come to lecturers. All right. Okay, sometimes they also come to lecture. So let me do, I'm a social psychologist. I do not have background in mental health. Okay, so what is my role? What is social psychology? What is my role as a social psychologist? So in psychology, we have many theories, right? We know a lot of theories, okay? But as a social psychologist, I see if you cannot practice the theories, basically the theory is useless. Okay, so I see myself here as an engineer. Okay, so we have a lot of theory, how I can help people, help students to apply that theories. Okay, so one very important research from Harvard University that touched me so deep is a longitudinal study that have been carried out for 80 years. So in this study, what they do is that they track people since 18 years old. So every 2 years, they go to the same person, they check on their mental health, they check on their self-esteem, they check on their blood tests, so on and so forth. And they have been doing this for 80 years, okay? So at this moment, like I think less than 50 of them still survive because at the age of 18, they are now you know, like 90 over years old right now, okay? So this study is so contradicting of what we believe. Okay, so we do research asking young people in university, what is the most important things in life? What is your life goal? Okay, in America, 80% of people say my life goal is to be rich. I don't have statistic in Malaysia, but unscientific observation, I don't think it will go very far from 80%. And one more thing, over 50% of American university students say my life goal is to be famous. All right. However, in this Harvard research of longitudinal of 80 years, they figure out that two of these is not what make people happy and healthy and live longer. What is important is that relationship matters. Okay, so as a social psychologist, is my role. How do I bring this thing into my classroom? How instead of telling students, you know, you should be rich, you should be famous, how can I put it? How can I share with students the importance of relationship? How do we bring this thing in our real life? Okay, so talking back just now, like student comes to talk to. Because I think generally first years, I teach first year students, generally people do not really have a full understanding about what is a psychologist, what is psychiatrist. Okay, so it's like you're a psychology lecturers, I come to you, I talk about my breakup, then give me solutions, you know, make me feel less pain. Okay, but I'm not clinical psychologist. Okay, so then what I learned from all of this listening from student. Besides student, I also, for the past 4 years, I also did one more things. Working together with Soundwave Pyramid on Sunday, what I do is that I started up a street listening project where I put a chair outside Soundwave Pyramid and anyone can sit down and talk to me, and my job is to listen to you. Wherever you talk, I'm listening. I will just be your listener. Okay. The reason why we are working on this thing, because we figured out that in Subang Jaya, on average, we have 1 suicide per month. In our community of 500,000 people. Okay, so we are trying to see what's happening, and we know a lot of young people, university students live in this city. Okay, so that's our target group, and of course the number one issue is that when I listen on the street, people talks about their academic, they are stressed about their work, they do not like their group mate doing assignment. Okay, this is the number one issue that we heard on the street. But the second issue that I heard on the street is about relationship, about either their parents getting divorced or they do not know how to make friends until their relationship break up. All right, so I mean, if I am allowed to add one more point here, I think very important point is that I think young people are very disappointed about how their relationship is not be taken seriously by the adult. Okay, we invented the terms puppy love. For what? To tell young people that, hey, your relationship is just puppy love. You know, someday you will be okay. Okay, we went through that period of time, but that's not the case for a lot of young people actually, because that is the first time they feel so pain. No one ever told them that I grew up that certain point of time I will feel so pain that someone do not accept me, do not want me. Okay. So the pain that I heard from student and from the street listening made me think that we need to do some research. Like I have this thing in my mind, but before we can go into any research, that's a thing I told my student, why not we collect stories to see how people, the story of people experiencing breakup, to see if we can learn anything. That is the start of this project. Okay, I will stop for now. Like, we'll keep the point for later.
Thanks, Meng, for explaining how it all began. I'll cross that question out for you already. I was planning to ask you that one later, but thank you. One question less, and we can answer more questions by our audience who are already like streaming in with questions. Anyway, Meng, you mentioned just now that, you know, students expect you to be a mental health professional just because you're teaching psychology, and you say you're not a clinical psychologist, so there's nothing much you can do. Here we have a clinical psychologist. We've got Dr. Catherine Butler, who also does systemic work. And Catherine, you know how Meng was talking about puppy love, and that younger people find that their relationships are not being taken seriously by their parents, by older adults. Do you see that kind of thing in your practice? I mean, you come from a more systemic approach, right? Systemic, I would imagine, to be working with a family. How would you approach such, I guess, clash of mindsets?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, actually, as a systemic therapist, I'm a couples therapist rather than a family therapist. But in my training, we did do working with families of children of all ages. And I think it really struck me, that idea actually about puppy love, because I think I had two thoughts. One is, I really liked what you were saying, Lisanne, about how it's pain, it's real pain, whether, you know, it's maybe the first time someone's felt that pain, or they felt it again, it's experienced as painful. And that is something that has to be taken seriously. And the other thing that struck me about the idea of puppy love is, I was thinking about, similar to you, Yazmin, I'm also divorced, and now I'm in a really positive relationship, and it does kind of, it's almost like each relationship's like a stepping stone to help you work out what it is you want and what it is you need and who you are, and there's growth from everything. And I think when you're younger, you're at university, there's so much trust and kindness and forgiveness, and we want our partner to be everything, and sometimes we can see the kind of things that maybe aren't working so well, or where they're not treating us exactly how we need to be treated, or that fits for us. And one of the questions is about, how do we prepare ourselves? And I think there is that kind of the realism that sometimes we put aside when we're younger, because we want this to work, and we kind of project onto that person. We notice all the good things, we forgive them all the wrong things. And so we don't want it to end, because we've put so much investment, we've done so much work in our minds to make this good. And so it is really painful. And maybe that's where that dismissiveness comes from, is thinking, well, hang on, don't you remember that you used to argue a lot? Don't you remember, if a parent's pointing out to us all the things that didn't work, we don't want to hear that, because we've worked so hard to kind of make this person right. But eventually, when we're through the pain, we may see that, and that will help us, as Yazmin was saying, to learn what it is we need, and from a next partner, and improve and kind of move forward with that. But there is that mismatch, and I think it's just about that patience that's needed with each other, to kind of that kindness, to recognize the pain is real, and people will get there eventually, but just to be with them in that moment with the pain.
Right. It sounds like allowing children to make that mistake, and the same time guide them through. Letting the process be the process, like what we are doing right now in the forum. Just trusting the process and see what happens. Well, at least that's from me being a moderator. I don't have a script.
I jump in, Alvin. I'm going to save you, Alvin, because I'm going to jump in right now, because I'm helping. Here's a lifeline. My approach to couples counseling is EFT, emotionally focused therapy, and emotionally focused therapy has three things: systemic therapy, Rogerian, and attachment and bonding therapy. And so, from people talking about pain and how can we better help ourselves, I think it was in the chat box. And I think from an attachment and bonding point of view, from Dr. John Bowlby, that the theory of connection, feeling connected, when you feel connected in different areas, like the proximity of maintenance, safe haven, secure base, separation of that safety, of that connection, or the disconnection of, and causes separation distress. And that is what's painful, and that's real, no matter what age you are. If you're a child and mom goes out the door, you start crying, it's, oh, mom, that's separation distress right there. And what happens is we learn that sort of narrative, and we bring that through. It's called attachment style. We bring that through right to our adult and romantic relationships, even relationships with others as well around us, and our relationships with ourselves. So depending on your attachment style, the separation distress, if you're securely attached, you feel the pain, but not as painful, I'm suspecting, anecdotally, with somebody who's insecure and having that separation distress. But the pain is the same. The pain, you are, what I'm saying, not the same. When you are feeling the pain, that is real. That's what we want to say. no matter what age you are, you could be 10, 20, 30, 70, emotional separation, that felt sense of no safety in this relationship is the pain. And so how do we get over that? Is that one of it is very hard. It's very hard to have that emotional stress. And two, for me, is sitting with the emotions and letting it burn through you. And what I mean by that is just processing it and just doing it in every day. And some days are harder, some days are worse. Some days you just want to binge Netflix and go under the covers. And some days you just go for a marathon run, which is fine. And so how you manage your pain is there. So when we were talking about earlier about, distracting yourself, you've got friends, family. Family is great. Friends are great if they're supporting you in your distress. When they're not supporting you, and you can get re-triggered in your stress. So find people who can support you. And then echoing Catherine, giving grace, self-compassion, and no end date. I had somebody says, oh, I'm going to get over this in 3 months. Okay. 3 months later, are you over it? No, I wonder why. What's that? Let's unpack and wonder why. And so we unpack again and unpack again and unpack again. So that unpacking with a safe person in a safe environment is the way to go to help you with that pain.
Thanks, Azah. Nicely saved. And what you said, Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Magic! In this case, it is logic. Yeah. But anyway, what you said got me thinking again about what Meng mentioned about that Harvard longitudinal study that showed your social health, your social relationships are what keeps your life meaningful. And it's like a total opposite, isn't it, of the breakup. So it basically means you need to keep on making friends because you're going to be losing some along the way. And keep on doing that. And thanks, Meng, for mentioning that. That's, I think, a good thing. But I'm going to go to Dr. Grace Yap, who's just raised her hand. I knew that was going to happen. Yes, okay. Psychologists, we read minds even through
don't give people the wrong things, Alvin.
I know I'm saying the wrong thing, but it's a misconception that I'm making fun of. Anyway, Grace.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Azah says, that when this pain is going to be away, will time help? No, time wouldn't help. There is a research supported that time wouldn't help if we don't do anything about it. Okay, so earlier we have the statistics saying that 11 weeks. All right. Another study that I came across is they talk about 13 months. Why 13 months? Is that to see if the person survived all the anniversaries.
Yes.
Yeah, 13 months.
Yes.
First day, first case, Valentine's, Christmas, birthdays, and etc. to see if the person's survived.
It's called anniversary grief.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's grief, so things will trigger you, and that's the anniversary of that.
But having said that, it doesn't mean that if we don't do anything about it, and it will go away. No, it won't. Like what Azah said, the process, let it burn through. Burn is painful. Okay. Yeah, but we have to go through that process. Sometimes the bad memory, the experience will trigger from time to time. Sometimes it catches by surprise that someone mistakenly says something. So we will experience the pain, and that's a time where we need to help ourselves to sustain the pain, to manage. To regulate the emotion, and this is daily effort. Is daily effort. One of my clients, she has a very unique way to gauge herself how much has her healing take place. She keep journals. And then she'll note down some important things, and then she'll visit this journal from time to time without mentioning names. without mentioning names, without mentioning the person, the gender of the person, no more he or she just put it. And when she revisit her journal, and then she said, if she cannot remember who this person, cannot remember what's going on, no more detail, then she reckoned that this is a point of her healing, that she couldn't remember so much of detail when she revisit this journal. That's one. Another of my ex-client, she has a very beautiful quote. One of her motivation to help herself, to recollect herself from a broken relationship, is that she said that she has done so much in the relationship. She lost everything at the moment of the breakup, but the one thing that she cannot lose is herself. That supported her to recollect, pull herself back together, and start her healing journey. All right, back to you, Alvin.
Thanks, Grace. Thank you. That's wonderful. Sharing of story. I mean, just got me thinking. Also, well, again, being a psychologist, can't stop. I'm like, oh wow, there's like lots of curiosity there. Anyway, we'll talk later, Grace. I know where you are. So
I think Catherine wants to say something.
Yes, Catherine.
I don't know.
You guys are making my job very easy. Yeah.
No, it really struck me what you were saying, Grace, about the significance of anniversaries, and it was nice to hear the term, Yazmin, about anniversary grief. But I was also thinking about what you were saying, Ms. Ham, about how for students that pain, and it's the more relationships you break up, the more you believe, I know I will get through this. Like, I've done it before. I've got evidence that I will, but the first few times you think you'll never get over it. This is it. You're finished. And so how as you get older, and the more relationships you have, you think, actually, I know this is the tough bit. I know this is the hard bit, and I will get through it. And those anniversaries, that sometimes we still mark them, but we may remember something positive that happened. Yes, we still miss the person, but actually, you have the memory that in the past caused you pain, and now you're at a point where you have the memory and you can smile and think, oh yeah, that was a good time, and let it go, because you're at a point where that pain has been processed. But you need to go through those breakups to know you can get there.
Yes.
I think also shelving those pain is the go-to strategy young people, emerging adults, not even emerging adults themselves go through, on avoiding the pain. I don't want to do it. You don't want to see it. And when they get triggered with or anniversary grief, they just want to shelve the pain. And what happens is, when you shelve the pain, whatever smalls grow bigger. It will just consume you, because you're trying to hold on to not looking at it and going away from it and just taking it out of your life. That is very painful and adds to the pain. And when you shelve it and you don't learn from it and you don't go through the pain, you'll see the repetitive behavior with the next partner and the next partner and the next partner, and then you add that data up of this partner, and then you turn the spotlight on you. And I said, oh, I'm a terrible person. I can't do this and I can't do that. You can't be with me because I'm a terrible person. I don't want to be this. So have some grace with yourself. Slowly just pick one. Just be in a safe place, get a cup of coffee, cup of tea. Just take one bit and just go through it very gently with yourself. And if it's just touching it for that day, fine. Next day, try and touch a little bit more for about 2 seconds, and then fine. And then slowly go through that until you get to the other side. And again, there's no expiration date.
I'm hearing lots of burning and getting through that pain, the burn.
And
you know what Meng was saying earlier? The burn goes to him, and he's saying, I have no professional training. But he gives his all, and I'm sure he's got no regrets, which is why he's here, and he's doing lots of research on it. Meng, when do you think, when would you suggest to whoever comes to you for help to say, okay, I have no professional training. Can you please go to see a professional? Because this is, I'm just quoting, what's his name? Uncle Roger, you know, whenever he would diss someone like really badly, he goes emotional damage. So anyway, so
Yeah.
Meng, how do you determine how much you are able to help, and when do you think anyone would need to see a professional such as Azah or Catherine or Grace?
Okay, first, I'm not trained, and I cannot, I don't do any diagnosis.
Yeah,
so
we know that, that's why.
Yeah, if you are very clear that you need professional help, you need counseling, I will immediately, if you're a student, I will direct you to, if at Sunway was direct you to Student Life, and other university also they have their own in-house counselor for sure. Okay. However, Alvin, this is the thing, right? I cannot do something because on individual level, but it made me think what we can do. Okay, so can I share some of my observations? Right. So from social psychology perspective, we observe that for human, right, we have this very interesting mindset that where ending matters. So for example, if you go for dinner, you know, endings really matter, right? We want it ends with a good dessert, not food poison, for example. Okay. Or if you're a student, can you imagine, you know, you come and study to do your degree and there is no such thing called graduation ceremony. Okay, it cannot be, right? So we have observed that endings really matters for people, and people are a lot to invest a lot. Okay, so after listening to so many stories on the street from students, so on and so forth, I'm thinking that since ending is so important to people, okay, so what is the end? Or what is the ceremony for relationship when relationship ends, right? So for wedding, marriage, we have marriage ceremony. How about when relationship come to an end? Okay, so that's one day when I was in Finland, visiting a museum. It's just a museum. Okay, it's called Museum of Broken Relationship. So people are queuing, you know, people are queuing because usually if you visit any museum, usually you just touch and go, you know, just, okay, I see, not very interested, I moved on to the next one. But in this museum, people are queuing and it's so silent, there's no sound at all. People are queuing in front of artifacts and story just to read the story, okay? I thought, you know, usually I spend 1-2 hours in museum. That day I spent my whole day, entire day in that museum reading story by story by story by story. Okay, so when this thing comes to me, it made me think maybe we can do something similar. We can do something similar to help people to put an end, you know, to do like the ceremony, the funeral of the relationship, right? So another person that inspired me a lot is Viktor Frankl. Okay, you know, right? Viktor Frankl was put in the concentration camp by Hitler. Okay, so one thing that Viktor Frankl said that touched me a lot is that in any adversity, any bad condition, there is always opportunity. There is always something to learn. Okay. So I tell my student, like, why not, you know, your boyfriend, girlfriend dump you. Why not we put up the story and invite thousands and thousands people come and read that story. Okay. So it started as a joke. Then as we do more and more research, it seems like, hey, it's possible. And I'm very thankful to Alvin. Because like, I'm not sure, you know, if it's okay or not, but Alvin said, Meng, what I do, I will fully support you. That time, Alvin was my head of department. Okay, so yeah, ending matters, and in every bad circumstance, any adversity, we can turn it into something positive. That's why I think breakup exhibition is to help to give students some idea. Those who going through breakup, you know, breakup can be a lesson for someone else, and why not turn it into something positive? Yeah, so that's
all right. Thanks, Meng. And yes, as we know, the book Mending Hearts is based on the breakup exhibition, the 2 breakup exhibitions that I'm very proud of. I'm so happy that Meng got the idea in the first place. We had breakup exhibition, the first one 2018, the second one breakup exhibition 2.0, which was even more successful. It's quite fascinating how breakup stories can be so attractive to lots of people. We had news coverage, TV, radio, print news. Yeah, it's kind of like human perversion, isn't it? Oh, breakup news. Oh my, read this one. It's drama. Yeah, so well, back to Catherine. It seems like a perversion of sort, but it's something that's also very real, and that's something that draws us to watch very dramatic drama in Malaysia. I mean, it shows my age now. It's called Drama Minggu Ini. This week's drama, basically. Yeah, Azah is laughing because she's been there. Yes. So my question, Catherine, is that it's somewhat ironic that something so painful is also something very attractive. Is this something that is processed also within like a therapeutic setting? What do you think?
What do you mean when you say
okay, yeah, this is when moderator goes, oh no, panelist doesn't understand what I'm saying, so oops.
Why do people gravitate towards those kind of stories? I think that's what Alvin was saying. Yeah.
And
okay.
is it something that you also look into in like say couples therapy?
Okay.
That I mean, I'm just thinking aloud here. Would it be one of the reasons why breakups are on people's minds when they break up? Because it's also something that creates interest. Not that they want to, but it's just there. It's again emotional damage.
Yeah, well, it's because when I was listening, then I was thinking about all the films that are about breakups, and we pay money to go and see it, and there's so many films.
Songs, Heartbreak Hotel, a long time ago. Elvis Presley,
sells well. Exactly.
And we have a good cry.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is about allowing ourselves to feel the pain in a safe way, because it's about someone else. And so we can cry and we can have a mini experience and know we're not alone as well. And that's what's so key. And what threw me in your question was how it comes into therapy. And I was thinking, actually, there's one of the ways I bring it in therapy, and it's almost the opposite of the idea of ending. And I love the idea of a breakup exhibition. I want to come over and see it. Yeah, I will. But there's a paper by Michael White from Australia where he talks about saying hello again, and this idea that actually when we've broken up with someone, or it may be through death or it may be through a breakup, that person is a part of our history, and maybe at some point, not straight away, we feel able in our memory of them to say hello again. So not to actually get in touch with them and say hello, but to revisit that person again without that raw pain and say hello again to them and be able to remember the things that you got from that relationship, the things that were positive about that relationship. So almost the converse of being attracted to the trauma, but actually being able to reconnect to some of the strengths. But I think that takes time, and maybe what we like when we're in the pain is to connect to other people's pain and just think, yeah, I'm not alone, and this is real, and it kind of feels very validating.
Great, yeah, wow, yes, validating and not being alone kind of bit, which is I guess why the breakup exhibition was so attractive and popular, because we actually feel normalized, isn't it? That it's something that people have gone through, they have survived it. I think that's the most important point, that they have survived it, and that perhaps I could too. And it's like I don't feel too alone. It's like safety in numbers kind of thing, right? Okay, we have got lots of questions coming in, and we are towards the end of the hour. And we know that ending is important too. We're going to have a proper ending to this, and hopefully people don't cry, or even if they do, that's fine. You can have a good cry, and you can have this forum again and say hello again and see what happens. And yes, Catherine, come over. We'll have breakup exhibition part 3.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm just going. Would it be okay for us to address questions? Yeah, because otherwise our dear gods and goddesses behind the scenes will be, get on with it. Yes, Nimisha Kumar. Thank you, Nimisha, for joining us. Most classic, famous Hindi movie songs are born out of rejection and breakups. Yes, I think in Malaysia we can appreciate them as well, because Bollywood is huge in Malaysia. kuchi hota hey. Is that about breakup? I don't think so, right? It's more like family. Anyway, yeah, going through question. Ghosting. Someone is asking about ghosting. Abruptly cutting off communications with someone. Yes. What about it? I mean, that's.
I asked what ghosting
comments?
is.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm so old. Because I'm hearing this word ghosting from the younger generation, and I'm like,
okay, Azah, you're not alone.
Yeah, I know, we're about the same. Yeah. Anyway, so I said define ghosting for me, and then they said something about abruptly leaving without saying a word, or you can't get to them, or something like that.
If someone ignores your text and then
yeah, I see. Okay, so I think that's a sudden break, and sudden breaks, like sudden loss, can give a huge shock to the system. And we get into question mode. Where, why, how, are they okay? Are they this, are they that? And it sometimes can consume us. And sometimes it can consume us to the point where it takes over our lives as well. We don't eat, we don't sleep, we don't this, we don't that. And especially if we know the I guess, systemic theory, the things, oops, sorry, excuse me. So the things around it, what's happening, is there a fight going on? Is this are they lost? So ghosting, depending on the situation, can give a shock to the system. And I guess the first thing to do is breathe. Breathe deeply and deeply, and breathe out deeply, and just say everything's okay, be in the present, and then find out what's going on depending on the situation, right? And if they've left without something of leaving you no word whatsoever, and again, depending on the situation and the facts, I think it's your job to get your own ending. Because if you're going to wait for that person to give you an ending, you're going to wait a long time. So it's your job to, one of my therapists, when I had therapy way back when, he said, let's take a dove and just let it go and say goodbye. But we had a whole ceremony to have that ending for yourself. So endings can be in the bird, in journaling, in saying goodbye, in saying thank you, KonMari style, saying thank you for, that I don't know why you left, but thank you. So you can start. The best thing about ending is you can start. If you don't have an end, when do you start? So yeah, so that's what I got out of that question.
Yeah, such wise words.
Oh,
I was also thinking what's really hard about ghosting is you don't have an explanation often, and you may never have an explanation.
Never.
And that's also really hard then to end. So you can't, maybe it's not even sometimes about making your own explanation, it's just about accepting you'll never know.
Won't be, yeah.
Yeah, but saying goodbye, that's so key. And that's so hard, because then you've chosen when you're going to end rather than, right, I'm going to wait. It's
yeah.
like, right.
So you're not giving the power to the other person that ghosted you. You're claiming your power back and claiming yourself back, and your own sanity and your own mental health and your own time. So, hard, I can validate you, hardest thing ever to do. And it's really depending on the circumstances of the case.
Yeah. And that power back, that's what struck me. Sorry, that's what struck me. I was thinking, when we started talking about this, my first thought was, well, that's just rude.
Yes.
How rude. For a while. Eventually, you might feel angry and think, that wasn't okay.
I guess with ghosting, cancel culture, but in terms of circumstances, Azah, you're mentioning that sometimes people just abruptly disappear. And in certain situations, for example, like MH370, Malaysian Airlines, that disappeared. Until now, there's a lot of unresolved grief. And I'm just going to bring in a question by Jeannie Lam. Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for joining us. Grieving over death of a loved one can be more painful than any breakup. Yeah, of course, because death means no way back. Any way of helping the grieving person? It's a pretty general question, but I'm just tying it with, like sudden death or sudden disappearance. Any tips on how you could help? Yeah,
Grace,
hands up. Yeah.
I want to emphasize that, especially for those who are grieving, sometimes they have hard time moving on, because they are afraid that once they move on, they get healthy again, they'll forget about the person, which this is something that they don't want. So there is a difference between, you know, move on and what I'm trying to say is that we can move on or move forward without forgetting the person by taking with us all the good memories, but resolving the hurting or painful memories. That's what we can do. So don't afraid of, you know, moving on because you think you are fusing between moving on and forgetting the person. No, in real case, we don't forget what we have been experienced. If it is bad events, we try to minimize the negative impact. We move on with the good ones, good memories, but we minimize the negative impact in us. That's how we can move on. Back to you, Alvin.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll go to an early question. I think this is a really good one by, from Kavita Reginald to Catherine. How do we take ownership of a breakup, and can that help us in healing?
Absolutely. I think it's some of the things we've been talking about already, that if we feel broken up with being the, as Grace was saying, the dumped, then we can feel really disempowered by that. It's so difficult, and that kind of needing to reevaluate, maybe to notice, were there signs, were there things that weren't really working, and also what was my part in that, and this is what I was saying earlier about sometimes we don't want to see that because we want it, you know, we work so hard at it, we want it to be good, but in time, when we're ready, we'll be able to do that and think, actually, maybe it wasn't the best relationship, and maybe it's good that it's over because there's someone better out there that fits you better and will make you happier. But it does take time to get there, and I think that ownership is about thinking about what was my part in this, and maybe what were the signs that I didn't see, or what were the reasons it didn't work so well, and taking ownership of that, sort of kind of looking that in the face, which you know will happen eventually, and it's being kind to yourself is so important.
Great, thanks, Catherine. Question. Oh, Azah has got something to add. Yeah, please, Azah.
Yeah, I think I want to add on to Catherine. We talked about giving grace, self-compassion, giving yourself time, and I think the words that came into my mind is forgiveness. Not forgiveness for, you know, what he's done, she's done, not done, omitted to do, but forgive yourself for not having the life experiences to see what relationship that you're in, because it's growing up. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. Experiences don't come with age. It comes with experiences, and the more you have more relationships, the more you understand yourself and all that. So when you, for example, I forgot to call my husband earlier on in our first couple of months of marriage, and I forgot to call. I'm still thinking I'm this little, you know, girl that's going around and doing TV stuff, and I forgot to call, and I'm married, forgot to call, and he's like I've been waiting for you. You got me worried. I'm like, but I'm in that single mind zone, but I know that I'm married, but that was a mistake that I didn't know about. And I'm like, oh, why? why? And I was young, but why did my mom doesn't tell me to call. Why do you want me? So we had to sit down and really talk about it. And I'm like, oh, your feelings. Oh, my feeling. Oh, I get it. So we learn from that. So I had to forgive myself, and he also had to forgive me for something I didn't know. I had
Great,
no
forgiveness. Yes,
yeah, forgiveness.
I suppose that also answers Erica Cho's question. Erica asked, you know, can we ever be fully prepared for breakups? I suppose, you know, to be prepared sounds like what you're saying is to continue learning.
Absolutely.
And we got a very interesting question from Mei Hua. What would a good breakup look like?
Lots of tissues, lots of crying.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, binge watching Netflix. What else is there? I'm open up to the board. Go on.
Meng, have you seen good breakups? I mean, you have tons of stories. Students coming to see you. Because,
Yeah, Meng.
There's a series on on Amazon called Modern Love that talks about breakup. So I think they are more expert than me to describe you about the group breakup. But if I'm allowed, right, I observe one more things. I think when people go through breakup, they want to look for people who are similar to them, who can understand them. Okay, because the easy fix is that we give counselor to everyone, you know. So everyone, the government prepare counselor, everyone who are going to through a breakup, immediately they have counselor, but that's not possible. So during the pandemic, there's an app called Visdo that is created based on this ideology. The Visdo is trying to match you with people who are experiencing the same thing as you. For example, if your girlfriend cheat on you, then they are trying to match you with someone who their girlfriend cheat on them also. Okay, so they're trying to connect you, two of you who are having a very, very similar experience. So I think this is also, I'm not sure how useful when we are connecting people who experience the same thing. So any panel can help answer these questions. When we connect two people who...
Sorry, I was just reading the thing. Sorry. Yeah, can you say that question again, Meng?
No, okay. So there's an app that is created to help people go through breakup and all kind of other problems. So the app is trying to connect people who have who experience the same similar experience. So people who are going through breakup, let's say the boyfriend...
So it's Tinder for breakups.
Sorry?
So it's Tinder for people who's broken up.
Yeah, kind of like you can call that. You know, they connect two people who share the same experience.
Is the idea so that you
support each other? Sorry.
So you support each other. That's the idea.
Yeah. So you can chat with that person. You know, if you are connected. You know, they say my boyfriend cheated on me. They say my boyfriend cheated on me also. You know.
Although I think it connects to what Azah said at the beginning about it. Sometimes people that can be more triggering for us and can make us stay in the negative and the more pain. Sometimes it's helpful to get angry with something, but sometimes it could have the opposite effect.
So I guess be careful as well who you're connecting with.
Yeah.
Sometimes helping others through your breakup can also help you and that other person. But it's, you know, it's case by case basis. But the best thing to do is go see a counselor.
Yeah.
See a professional. Yeah, but I mean, seriously, we need help every now and then. So, you know, see someone who's trained to provide help. We have got 3 here already, not including me. I'm no longer a clinical psychologist. I'm more like a cynical psychologist. But anyway, but I think that goes quite well to another question by Sonia John. You know, after a breakup, how long should someone wait before moving into a new relationship? You know, Meng is suggesting that, you know, put 2 who broke up together and see what happened to them. It depends on circumstance, I suppose. You know, you're asking what's a good breakup. I mean, to me, a good breakup is what happened to me last time when my girlfriend like dumped me in a very nice way. She said, well, I'm seeing this other guy. So I was like, so you're breaking up with me? She said, yes. Okay, done. Easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how
do
I was so
you
cool
need
about
to
it.
unfold that later on?
Yeah.
Well, I think to answer that questions,
Grace.
now, first of all, I think most of us are eager, especially we are in pain, we are eager to look for a formula, you know, steps, you know, based, hopefully not more than 3 steps to get healed, to come back to health. No, that's not that easy. All right, but there is a statistic saying that how long should you wait for your next new relationship? 6 months. 6 months. But again, it's very subjective to, you know, this is statistic, this is average. It's very subjective to individual. However, using a new relationship to reduce a pain as a painkiller of your expired relationship, definitely that is not advisable. Yeah, so before you learn enough about your breakup experience, about yourself, about the other party, and you can't wait to move on to another relationship, thinking that, you know, the other new relationship would bring you more joy, you know, reduce your pain and etc. You probably will find yourself repeating mistakes. That's one, what Azah has mentioned. You also see yourself projecting unfulfilled wishes, unfulfilled expectation from one person to another. Now this is very unfair, or I would say this is very unhealthy. Or at the same time, if you know, the ex relationship expired because you got cheated, and you see yourself turning into what I call goalkeeper, that you are always looking out for your, you know, new partner, whether he or she show any single bit of sign of cheating on you. So that's not healthy either. We're supposed to enjoy a relationship and not, you know, goalkeeping, be a police in the relationship. Aha, I find you, you know, having sign of cheating. So these are all not healthy. So if you want some time, yeah, 6 months, but again, subject to individuals.
That's called rebound relationship.
Yes. Yeah, and also look out for your own withdrawal symptoms. Sometimes we project our withdrawal symptoms on our new partner. Yeah.
And also things that we didn't do in our old relationship that in this new relationship we want to do now because we missed it before. So we want to correct that in this relationship. In this, yes, Grace, it's very unfair because this is a different person and a different, you know, completely different person with probably a different name. Although I do have some people that I know married this a person with the same name as the ex. I know, go figure. I have no, yeah.
Well, if you love them, why not? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Can always reframe, rebrand.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Go for couples counseling. Make sure everything's okay.
Yeah. Go have a checkup. You know, don't wait until things get bad.
That's a good one. That's a good one because people don't understand. Like in the UK, we have MOT for the cars. In Malaysia, what do we have? I don't know. Where you make sure that the car is in working order every year.
Yeah. Well, it's called maintenance.
It's health. It's a health checkup. So sometimes we need for relationships, whether it's romantic or otherwise, just having a health checkup. My mom and I used to date in Coffee Bean and Starbucks for an hour and just check up on each other until I got married. So.
That's nice. I think I like a metaphor I sometimes use in couple counselling as well, that you both, there's like the relationship space between you and you both bring things into that space. And if you're bringing into that space your ex and all your unresolved kind of things, it's not going to be good for that new relationship. So it is maybe checking, what am I bringing into the space, and maybe I need to bring something different.
Yeah.
The other thing that connects this question, I was thinking there's a lot of judgment as well from other people about how long is the right amount of time before you start dating someone again. Particularly if you've been in a long-term relationship or a marriage, there can be a lot of judgment that it's too soon or things like that. And I think it's also about just not listening to that. And you know, if it feels right and it feels positive, then just enjoy it.
I've got one for you. I don't know whether. Anyway, I've got one for you. Hypothetical case. So this is in the UK where they have filed divorce in courts. Now, UK courts, if you want to divorce, takes a long time. You think Malaysia takes a long time? Why don't you have a look at English divorce? So now they are separated, one in one another place. So emotionally, they're not there. Legally, they're there. Is that a breakup? And number one. Number two is what happens if they date other people? Is it considered an affair or not? I give it to you guys because I have no idea, because it is a form of breakup with no ending legally. Felt sense of emotion, maybe, perhaps, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say that they have broken up. Legally, they're still married, so legally it's adultery. But actually, that's just the law. You know, it's kind of, if you think about some communities, like I don't know in Malaysia, but in the UK, you couldn't get married if you were in the same sex relationship until 2005. So you weren't even able to get married. It didn't mean those relationships were less valid or less important than heterosexual relationships. But they broke up, whereas marriage as a legal thing has only, you know, sanctioned that group of people since 2005. So for heterosexuals, it's been sanctioning that for a lot longer, but it is just a sanction. And actually the kind of two people in it are, yeah, when they've decided they're broken up and they're living separately and dating other people and living new lives, they're just waiting for that to finish.
Official thing to get over.
And then I think there is a feeling when it becomes official, there isn't, you know, that's another mark, it's another ending. But actually maybe there've been more significant endings, like moving out and things like that earlier, or starting to date other people. There are so many transition points that are important to, and legal bit's just one of them.
I like the word transition points in tandem with ending. Yeah.
Yeah, Catherine, you had me at finish just now. So anyway, we need to wrap up. Thank you so much for your answers. I would like to also introduce Professor Elizabeth Lee. You've been seeing her throughout. She's been pinned here. Professor Elizabeth, sorry for not referencing you earlier because we're all in the thick of discussions. So Professor Elizabeth Lee is our CEO of Sunway Education Group. She's been a huge supporter of the Breakup exhibition and anything to do with relationships, compassion, bringing people together. She's our champion, which is why she's appearing in a very nice halo. You can see nice and bright there, you know, very heavenly look. Thank you, Professor Elizabeth, for being with us.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And thank you very much, all my esteemed panelists and of course, moderator as well, Professor Elvin. Thank you so much for that wonderful and interesting and insightful discussion. I wish to also, at this point, actually acknowledge that we have YB Hannah Yo with us. She's amazing. She's been with us throughout. She's not having her camera on because she's actually on MC, and yet, you know, she finds time to be with us, and she has been a stalwart supporter of our Breakup exhibitions, as you know, our students and our staff and my colleagues would remember. So thank you very much, YB Hannah, for being with us. And I trust that our audience actually found the session as constructive and as enlightening as both Hannah and I did. In fact, we were texting each other and sharing notes. It's quite fun. It actually all reminds me of what Savi Sharma, an Indian novelist and author of the book Everyone Has a Story, said. He said that everyone has a story to tell, everyone is a writer, and some are written in books and some are confined to the hearts. So indeed, everyone has a story to tell. So it gives me immense pleasure today to be here for the second part of this ceremony, which is the launch of the book, Mending Hearts, Healing from Separation and Loss, a collection of true stories. Now, the stories in this book form the basis of the very well received Breakup exhibitions by our psychology students at Sunway University prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. They are true stories of love, joy, laughter, and of course, loss, written by regular people just like you and me. They speak from the heart, and of course, they are of the heart. So I'm so glad to note that these personal experiences, all of which make compelling narratives, have now been compiled to remind us that we are not alone in our times of sadness and feelings of grief. So may these stories, while providing its readers a glimpse of love, loss, and healing, also serve to inspire and bring hope to all. Above all, they highlight the importance of human relationships and, of course, its relation to one's well-being as well. This book is without a doubt one of a kind, I must say. In a world where society does not view breakups lightly, where those whose relationships end are oftentimes viewed as even failures. So the subject is a topic that is usually avoided. As such, this important book, thank you so much, Meng, for putting it together. It serves to shine a light on this topic and hopefully will help to normalize conversations on it, just like what we're doing today. And that in turn, it will help those who are recovering from the fallout of such relationships. So I would like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the contributors. Not easy for them to have written up their stories, but and to share them. But by sharing them, really, that is what closure is all about. Then, of course, there are the many student volunteers who were involved in the 2 breakup exhibitions. This book is very much the result of their labor and their hard work, from organizing and running the exhibitions, collecting the stories, to promoting the events and the Mending Hearts book itself. And of course, last but not least, to congratulate Meng, Dr. Yap, and the Sunway University Press for their enduring efforts in putting all the stories together. Congratulations. Thank you, guys, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your kind words. Thank you very much as well to Professor Alvin and all our panelists for such a deeply engaging session. I think there was a lot of wisdom and very profound insights shared today. And I think I speak for everyone in the audience when I say that there was a lot for us to take away and to think on. And I'd also like to thank all of you, members of the audience, for your very, very active involvement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as Professor Lee has alluded to, we have moved on to the highlight of today's event, the book launch of Sunway University Press's book titled Mending Hearts, Healing from Separation and Loss, a collection of true stories. The book is an edited collection of true stories and photos from contributors of many ages and backgrounds, compiled and displayed at Sunway University's hit breakup exhibitions. Please now enjoy the following video presentation of the book. Now, to celebrate the launch of Mending Hearts, and while everyone is still present with us, I'd like to call upon the co-editors of the book, Mr. Meng and Dr. Grace, along with our fellow other panelists and moderator, as well as Prof. Lee, Prof. Wilkinson, Dr. Lee, and Ms. Carol Wong from Sunway University Press. If you're able to, please turn on your webcams again so that we can take a photo with everyone to mark this momentous occasion. All right. So everyone's got the cameras on? Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Smile again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I would now like to invite Mr. Meng to say a few words on behalf of the Mending Hearts team.
Okay, Nicholas, thank you. Thank you so much. Everyone have been, I think, 2018, right? This is already 2022, about 5 years of work. Okay, I cannot express enough. First in my list is all my beloved students. I always say this, a little bit emotional. None of you need to do this. You can always spend your time doing other things, but you choose to give a portion of your life in this project. Okay, I've been saying many times that I feel very sad looking at university students are not empowered. Okay, we always expect them to be motivated, so on and so forth, but I figure out they are not empowered. So today I want to share with all this book. I want to share it with all my students. Okay, it's because of your actions, because of your willingness to spend your time on this project. We leave something long-lasting for our society. Okay, I can tell you, sociologist, historian to come is going to come back to this book and explain to people, you know, back then how people in 2020, 2019, 2018 experience this part, relationship breakup, for instance. Okay, it's because of you we are where we are today. All students, thank you very much, and I take this opportunity also to apologize if, you know, throughout the journey we have a lot of argument, so on and so forth. Okay, but I do hope each of you learn something from a real life project like this. Okay, so the main message is that even as a student, you know, you can make an impact. You can leave a long-lasting impact. So I also hope that this project like this could inspire a lot of juniors. Okay, so if you are first-year student, 2 years from today, what you want to leave behind, your senior has done their part. Okay, they leave behind this book. You know, a lot of them have graduated and working outside right now, but this is what they live with the university. And I'm also alumni. Okay, so 10, 12 years ago, I lived nothing, but today I came back and I lived something with the university. Okay, and besides my students, I cannot say, I don't know how much I need to say thank you to the department itself. Okay, without the department's support, there will be no such things. Nothing will happen. I'm sorry, I'm a bit emotional. Okay, so from Dr. Eliza, the first person I talked to when I have this idea. Okay, to Dr. Alvin, Grace, and everyone in the departments, and the one who really pushed me, Prof. Abi, who came in, you know, as a new dean, and really pushed that, you know, like we want to get this thing done, and everyone is so proud of this project. I really appreciate that. And I think I take some opportunity to answer one of the questions and say that since someone says something that since relationship matter, why don't Sunway focus on relationship, right? Building relationship instead of teaching people to be you know, instead of people usually focus on being famous, on being rich. I can tell you that in all the class that for my class, I planned this thing. And you know, if you were my student, when after doing a group project, they need to write a letter to each other, telling their group mates what they learned from them. You know, usually the assignment would due in week 10, but you know, week 3, I have students come to me, I learned nothing from my friends. Okay, so for me, I as a social psychologist, I incorporate little things like this even into the classroom tell people the importance of relationship, you know, in handling, managing relationship. It starts with your friends, then later on maybe with your partner, so on and so forth. And the last, I need to recognize, I think I think we have 12 fantastic reviewers who wrote review, including I think YB Hannah is here with us today. I think Aziz from Cellcom is also here. I'm not sure that I cannot see because too many people, but all the reviewer, thank you very much. And co-authors like Dr. Grace, who we discussed a lot of things together. Dr. Grace, you want to say something?
Thank you, Mending. Well, I don't want to steal the limelight. I think, yeah, you speak well, and you will cover all of us. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much. So for years to come, I hope this project can continue to inspire, and very important that we need to keep on talking about relationship related matters. So I used to joke with my friends who tell me that they want to get married. So my reply is, have you all discussed about divorce? Just in case, it's just like a fire drill. You know, we have fire drill not because we think that, you know, something will be burned down, but, you know, it's good to talk when you are rational about it. So of course, this idea is not very popular. People like shouting back at me, we are talking about marriage. Why you want us to talk about divorce? Okay. With that, everyone, thank you so much. This part 1 of this project come to an end, and hopefully we have part 2, part 3, part 4. I take this opportunity to invite all the researchers to come and interpret this book, to do interpretation or do research about what we can learn from after reading so many stories from people. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Nicholas, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mington, and my most heartfelt congratulations to you and the rest of the Mending Hearts team. I would also like to extend my personal gratitude and acknowledgement to the story contributors and book reviewers. Thank you very much for your contributions. Now, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Contact us now at Sunway University Press to grab your copy of the book Mending Hearts. Our email address can be found on the screen, and it will be in the chat box as well. For those of you who have pre-ordered a copy of the book, we will be reaching out to you very soon. Once again, I'd like to thank our distinguished panelists for their time and for sharing their experiences and expertise with us today. Thank you also to all of you in the audience for joining us in our second forum of Psychology Month 2022. Sunway University Press will be hosting its third and final session next Thursday with the theme of lifespan psychology. This forum will focus on the challenges and potential for growth we face from womb to tomb. Do keep a lookout on our Facebook and LinkedIn pages for more information. And on that final note, thank you all once again for joining me this evening, and I look forward to seeing you again next Thursday in our next forum. Stay safe and goodbye. Thank you everyone again.